Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, live all over the world on Fight TV. This is PWR Reaction. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius, the Tiberius the Legend Backyard, one-time straight-edge knockout hardcore Hall of Famer. It is Thursday, March 24, 2020, and the COVID-19 quarantine continues for most.
We're stuck until April 26th.
WrestleMania is being taped as we speak.
Amazing.
What a world we live in, David.
Who would have ever thought that WrestleMania would be taped?
Well, folks, this is the Fan Show. We appreciate you joining us live wherever you may be. As said, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and of course our tremendous broadcast partner, Fight TV. And did you know, David Hero, for those of you watching us across the pond in Canada, anywhere outside the United States, that there's only one way to watch AEW Dynamite and AEW pay-per-view events? You probably didn't.
No.
That's on Fight TV. That's F-I-T-E, Fight.tv. Not only do they broadcast the Pro Wrestling Report live Monday through Friday, but also you get your fix of AEW Dynamite as well as AEW pay-per-view events. And what an episode of Dynamite last night. They did it again. They did it again. They did it again.
They're hitting home runs.
Home runs.
NXT wasn't that far behind.
You know, here's the question I have, though. And we are joined, before I get to that question, because I don't want to forget her, but Linda, the lovely Linda.
There she is.
Our social media diva is here with us as well tonight. She's got your comments in the queue and will be giving us, keeping us on track here throughout the broadcast. David Hero.
I love being on track.
So, my question is WWE coming off as... And this is something Eric Bischoff said a couple of months ago on his podcast after he was exec producer of SmackDown for 2 weeks. Or what do they joked about it and said it was 83 days.
Yeah.
WWE, so polished, so perfect, so cookie cutter, I guess you could say, with all their shows. And
well, it's a machine.
It's a machine, and that machine grinds so tremendously until it is ground to a screeching halt, which is what this virus situation has done to WWE. And they tried, again, I said weeks ago, nobody will ever do a bad show without an audience, whether it be WWE or AEW or whoever else, because it's such a unique situation. But WWE is so used to having that element that they tried to do a television presentation without that element, and it really came off flat.
Can you imagine if this was the Attitude Era where you're used to seeing thousands of signs in the audience?
Yeah.
And just how rowdy and obnoxious.
The guy behind me can't see.
Yeah,
Some
always.
favorite signs.
And now the audiences are far more tame than they were in the past.
They are, because they're bored. You're sitting there for 3 hours. Look.
It was 3 hours sometimes with the Attitude Era on pay-per-views.
Yeah, that's different. That was a pay-per-view. 3 hours weekly on a Monday is very different. Look, Dave, we went to WrestleMania 32, right, in Dallas, Texas, which I think was the beginning of the
marathons.
The marathon manias. And I remember at the very end of it, we sat there and I said, have we just sat here for 8 hours watching wrestling, including the pre-show? And I was mentally and physically exhausted. There is such a thing as too much wrestling in a single sitting. And when you have 102,000 people in a stadium, the fatigue, you can hear it in the audience.
Yes.
The fatigue,
it's a lot of
you can
energy.
see it in the audience, is just deflated. And
well, how about last year in New York? 13 hours?
It was so long. And in fact, that was the first in 22 years WrestleMania I did not go to live. Remember, I was struggling, David.
Yeah.
Linda, you remember too. We were talking about it. I wanted to go. I needed to go. We wanted to go. We were getting our way in, and then realized, it's not. Hey, it's in Jersey. And when we went last time, and it was in Jersey, do you remember the hell we went through trying to get back to Manhattan after Mania? It was a disaster, and we had our own vehicle that was coming to get us, but they just couldn't do it. And then this year, everybody got screwed too, because the Transit Authority was told an earlier time for the end show than when it actually ended. So I just didn't want to go through that strife again, David Hero.
Well,
I didn't
and
want to
you know
do
what?
it, and
You know
I
what,
did
Damien?
not go.
And you're getting older, and you don't need the stress.
No, I'm fine. I can handle things pretty well. So what the point I was getting at is, your AEWs of the world, your Impacts of the world, your Ring of Honors of the world, they're so much more connected to the fans that attend their shows.
Because it's a niche audience.
I don't think that's the case with AEW.
Well, but to a certain extent they are.
I don't think so.
AEW fans, their fan base is not going to Raw or SmackDown.
Yes, they are. And
I don't
WWE
think so.
fans are going to. Not everybody. You're not going to get that complete crossover.
I would say you'd be lucky if 50% of the AEW audience went to Raw or SmackDown.
So you're saying if I'm an AEW fan with a hoodie, when Raw or SmackDown comes to my town, I'm not going.
Probably not. Because
if I'm a WWE fan, when AEW comes to my town, am I going?
Probably not.
I'm intrigued. Share with us live right now, folks. Use the hashtag PWR Live. Do you go to both? If you have the live event opportunity, do you attend both WWE and AEW? Or is it, hell no, we won't go to one or the other because of your affiliation with one or the other? It's an intriguing question. Hashtag PWR Live. We'll take your live comments right here now on Facebook, YouTube, and also Twitter. And I think, Linda, we're getting a little bit of feedback from you here. So if you can turn your audio down just a little bit for your monitor. I know that you love hearing Dave's voice, but it really gets old, especially hearing it twice.
I am
Or did you screw up her audio too, like you did yesterday on Prime
Whoa,
Time
pump the brakes. That sounds like a
great
dog.
Segment.
What does Linda have a dog in her house for?
Well, what do you mean? Because it's a pet. Again, share your comments. Do you go to both, or do you just go to one? And with that, I think it's time to, yes, it is our time to remind you to subscribe to us here on YouTube. That's YouTube. Of course, you're watching it on YouTube. If you're not, we are available on YouTube. All you have to do is click that subscribe button, and then also make sure you turn those notifications on so you never miss an opportunity to watch.
Because you don't want to miss
live.
Our stuff.
We are on 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And very, very soon, David Hero will be sharing with you, probably on Friday's primetime, tomorrow's primetime, our coverage plan for WrestleMania. We are going to be bringing you the full 360-degree coverage of WrestleMania 36. Right here live on Fight TV as no one else can. But before we do that, we said this is the fan show. We framed it. We've set it up. And now let's go to Linda Kay to hear what comments were selected to discuss right here on Reaction. I almost called it the old show, David Hero. You know the other name?
We don't talk about that one.
Linda, what we got?
All right. Well, our first discussion topic will go a little bit more in depth on what a best for business type Vince McMahon would do to change in the current WWE product in advance of WrestleMania. And we'll also kind of touch back on the topic of if size really does matter in professional wrestling.
God, we're doing that again?
Well, size does matter.
She said in wrestling. And you did good yesterday on primetime. You didn't even bury Ricochet again.
Why would I? He got buried himself on Raw.
And I shouldn't even have brought him up late. You open the door and you come walking in, barging in like a mastiff.
I am a mastiff.
You're a dog?
Mastiff.
Are you the dog in Linda's house?
Absolutely not.
All right, Linda,
I would never be a dog in Linda's
comment
house.
Comes to us from YouTube. What you got?
All right, this comes from Charles Stevens III via YouTube, saying, with WrestleMania in a constant, consistent flux, do you think WWE Vince would take a hard look at his current product for changes? And if so, how should he change it?
An interesting question. So,
what do you change? You already have the biggest stars on the planet, the most recognizable stars in all of wrestling. You have Brock Lesnar, you have Roman Reigns, you have The Fiend, okay? You don't think The Fiend is over? He's not...
In the wrestling community, absolutely.
Yeah, but you have guys that are just huge monsters.
What do they need to change? Whether you believe it or not, or think it's a factor or not, ratings continue to plummet.
You have to change your creative. That has to be changed.
That's the question I think Charles is asking is, should they take a hard look at their current product for changes? And I think this is as great a time as any to do so because...
You're going to have time off now.
They do, but they did not give the proper, I guess you could call it, they underestimated AEW substantially. And now they are looked at as, I think, old and stale compared to AEW, and that's a problem for them. Do you think
it's
how
not.
hard it was
Not
for
even
them to go
close.
back and look at Raw this past Monday night and change that camera angle to reflect the way ROH did it first, by the way, but to reflect the way AEW did it last week? How hard was it for them to do that, to swallow that pill and say,
I'll be honest,
we're going to do something somebody else did?
I don't think it was. For them, it's bottom line. Yeah, there's egos involved, but they want their product to look good.
So they copied the other product.
Sure, why not? Oh, hold on a second. Pump the brakes. Who is AEW's current heavyweight champion?
John Moxley.
A former WWE guy.
Oh, okay, Mr. Cornette. Go ahead.
Am I wrong? Why am I Mr. Cornette?
He makes the same argument.
Well, he's not wrong.
Okay, well, let's hear it from you.
I mean,
let's hear your take on
you
it.
bring Matt Hardy in and he goes into a top program right away.
And the problem with that is?
Well, where did he just come from 3 weeks ago?
He chose to leave WWE.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's not copying. Hey, if it works, the NFL has copied the XFL.
Apologist. I never thought all this time that you were
I'm not an
actually
apologist.
You can't sit here and give AEW its due
Okay,
credit.
so if Triple H came on Raw and said, hey, you know what? Good job, Cody and company. We copied your gimmicks. Is that
No,
what
it's
you
not
guys
about
want?
that. It's not about that. What we're saying and what Charles' question is should WWE take a hard look at their product for changes? Because do you not admit that going through 3 hours of Raw on Monday nights is brutal?
Terrible.
2 hours of SmackDown on Friday nights is slightly better, but brutal.
No, it's
NXT,
all hard.
Good, exciting, but it too is getting a bit too corporate in its presentation.
Listen, the problem is with the current product on WWE right now is you only have 2 or 3 legitimate stars.
And that's why I was questioning your point you were making before about them having so many stars. They don't. They don't have that star power anymore.
But here's what I said. Okay, let me rephrase it. Okay, they have amazing stars. They have talent. They have cosmetically the team you could ever want.
Ricochet.
Their creative is absolutely terrible right now.
Really? You think that's the blame?
You can't. Yes, because the talent is doing what they're told to do.
True. That's absolutely 100%
You look at
true.
the Attitude Era, and I hate always saying the Attitude Era, but it's
Some
the
people
truth.
weren't even alive then.
No, they weren't. But everybody was over. Everybody meant something.
Mm-hmm.
Crash Holly and Hardcore Holly won the tag team championship. Okay, Taz,
big Crash Holly.
Taz and Spike Dudley were the tag team champions.
And it meant something. It mattered.
Yes.
Street Profits are the tag team champs now on one side, and Miz and Morrison on the other.
Yes.
Solid talents, great talents. Don't really care. I mean,
you
it just
love
doesn't.
the Miz,
I love him.
and you
He's
love Red
endorsed.
Solo Cups.
He's endorsed, but the importance, the significance, I guess the freshness is lost from WWE, in my opinion. It's a stale product,
And that's because the talent isn't allowed to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Whereas
is scripted.
in other organizations, including AEW,
you know,
but that has its own
lately,
risks.
Cal and I have been watching the Monday Night Wars on the network. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's why. The talent was trusted enough to deliver. Nowadays, everything it's not about pro wrestling. Now it's about getting your segments of the show in and getting that 3 hours. It's not and they don't even tell stories anymore.
Because I think when they try to, I think they lose the audience.
You can't tell a story in a 3 or 4 minute match.
Yeah. But many wrestlers nowadays don't tell stories whether they're allowed to or not.
I'm telling you right now, Hogan and Warrior, Hogan and Rock, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, Undertaker and Triple H, or Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart and Steve Austin, all WrestleMania matches that told stories. When was the last time we've seen a match like that? Goldberg and Bray Wyatt?
I think several matches on AEW have told great stories. I think
But we're not talking about AEW right now.
Well, are you saying that just WWE has?
Well, that was the question. How do they fix it? What does Vince McMahon look like?
That's what Charles Stevens asked us.
Yeah, and that's what I'm sticking to. I'm not trying to, shift the heat on AEW, because you're gonna love everything they do.
No, that's not the case at all. I don't love everything they do at all. But I do know that I feel that WWE was caught off guard by the success of AEW.
Of course.
We know WWE's arrogant. They're the NFL, right? NFL, you can't touch them. Nobody comes close. WWE
Vince
is the
McMahon
NFL.
has defeated the U.S. government. He
the
beat
past.
billionaire Ted.
In the past.
And let's be honest, right now he's kind of getting around the COVID-19 gimmick.
Around. Did you ever think that ECW would go out of business?
Absolutely.
Did you ever think WCW would go out of business?
No.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
From the top of the mountain to the depths of the deepest valley within 12 months' time.
But that's different. They didn't have wrestling people running that company.
You're right. And the network killed them.
And here's the other thing. Let's be fair. It wasn't when Ted Turner was gone is when it fell apart.
AOL Time Warner merger. Absolutely.
So AOL didn't want wrestling, so they could care less if it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon will never let his company die.
No, that's 100% true. But you can get real close to it like they did in 95, 96.
Right, and
they won. Because they were caught off guard then, too. There's something to be said about the arrogance of any company, thinking they're too big to fail. And you can go into many different non-wrestling examples of that, but it is a true risk. And Charles, I think to answer your question, yes, they need to take a hard look at their current product for changes. They need to be more transparent in responding to what the fans want. But to your point, David Hero, they are catering to a different fan. Their fans are more casual, not as bought in as those fans of an AEW, of an Impact, of a Ring of Honor, of anything else. They're not as bought in. They're going to buy tickets to Raw because it's Raw.
Here's the difference.
People aren't going to buy tickets to Dynamite because it's Dynamite.
You're going to have people saying, hey, WWE's in town, Raw, I want to go, it's on TV.
Absolutely. It's an institution.
Exactly.
But fewer people are doing that.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, but still, people will go to Raw just because it's Raw. And they won't even know who's wrestling. Hey, you want to go to pro wrestling? Raw's in town.
Thank you, Charles, for that comment. Linda, what else we got?
All right, we have a comment from Jay Hamid who says, I have to agree with Hero. Pro wrestlers need to be larger-than-life athletes and have larger-than-life personalities. Wrestling needs that, and realism, of course.
See, that's a brilliant viewer. Right
no, I think he's just a fan of the Backstreet Boys.
Why them? They're retired.
They absolutely didn't retire. They're one of the biggest touring acts of the year last year. Larger than life.
But
people, can't you
are
see?
They full time?
I saw them in Manila, Philippines. Yes, they did a world tour.
What were you doing in the Philippines?
To see the Backstreet Boys.
You went to the Philippines to see the Backstreet Boys?
Absolutely, I did.
Jeez, must be nice.
Do you have anything to say to Jay Hamid?
No, he's right. He understands the business. Oh, come on. Look at the biggest stars in all professional wrestling.
Yes, Cody Rhodes, The Miz, Drew McIntyre.
In the last 50
Ricochet.
years, who are the biggest stars?
That's going to take me longer.
Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Road Warriors, Ric Flair, Andre the Giant, Dusty Rhodes. Larger-than-life personalities. Again, here, when you see them walk through an airport, walk through a shopping mall, walk through whatever, you think they're something. How many of today's talents, if you were to see them walking in their street clothes, would you think that they are a star?
So you're telling me there was never anyone smaller who had a larger-than-life personality? Bret Hart's not the biggest man in the world. Shawn Michaels isn't the biggest man in the world.
But hold on. Those two guys looked different. They had a different look to them.
They had greasy hair.
Dude, we've seen these guys in public.
I'm just saying.
I'm not going to say what brand we were at. We saw the guys in their street clothes, and at one point we weren't sure who was the talent and who were the fans.
That goes across all companies. WWE has people like that too.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely,
but it's more than ever right now.
Yeah, because, well, a couple things happened to get us there, right? Firstly, the steroid scandal of '94. Wrestlers started shrinking purposely after that.
I don't know.
They did. Look at Hulk Hogan, 93, 96.
Look at Hogan, 97 to 2002.
Let's say he's on steroids.
But hold on. Hogan went to Hollywood. He had to get Hollywood lean.
The steroid scandal, McMahon sitting on stand being accused of having forced his talents to take steroids. They had to not show these huge, larger-than-life people anymore because that was in the public's mind. that was more proof because if you have muscles, you have to be on steroids. If you wrestle, you have to be on steroids.
Well, that's
for
the
the people
gimmick.
outside. They made a change at that point. And really, over the course of the next 10 years or so, wrestlers got smaller. The feeder systems are gone. Wrestlers are getting smaller.
Yeah, the territories
the
are
moves,
history.
The matches, everything that happens in wrestling is vastly different. We can't live in 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. This is what wrestling is now. And this is what I think sports, to a degree, is now. And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but your character can overshadow your size.
And that's the problem.
Daniel
These
Bryan
guys
is
aren't
a great example of that.
These guys aren't allowed to be characters anymore.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
Well, a great comment from Jay Hamid. We're live, David Hero. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. We're also live on Twitch. And that sour face means we're answering your questions and taking your feedback here on Reaction. Reaction is live every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Fight TV. And also you can join us on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for PWR Primetime Live with our associates all over the United States and a special guest star each and every night. And tomorrow night on Primetime, we've got another star.
We got the Southern Stomper from New Orleans, Louisiana, Luke Hawx. You know, you may have seen him in one of the Wolverine movies. He got the gimmicks up into his head and everything, stuntman, everything. His son did the big leap and dive off of the shopping mall balcony.
Who's better, Freddy or Jason? Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees?
Probably Freddy.
Okay.
He's got a way better
Jason
complexion.
Was much bigger. Jason was much larger in stature. He was a big guy.
But he's dumb.
Freddy was a small guy.
Dude,
Jason
first
was
of all,
not dumb.
Listen,
Jason was
hold
not
on a second.
dumb at all.
Hold on a second. If I have the choice of hanging out on a lake, okay, with a freaking knife in my hand, or I can go in somebody's dreams, I'm going in someone's dreams.
But Freddy was smaller. Your whole argument of before doesn't apply.
It's not about size. It's about
when
who's more
said
villainous.
Wolverine, it reminded me.
I'm talking about villainous. Roddy Piper was the greatest villain of all time. He wasn't over 6 feet tall.
Linda, Tuesday, we introduced the subject, and I understand today we get a definitive answer. But what was that subject? Because dealing with this has made me forget what we talked about Tuesday.
Well, our open forum question was, has there ever been a wrestling federation that seems to over-deliver to the fans as AEW?
All right, so the first step is to address the question of whether or not AEW is actually fan-friendly. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all.
They are the most fan-friendly company in probably the last 20 years, with the exception of MJF. They love their fans. They will bend over backwards for them. They treat them with respect, treat them like gold. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me counter your MJF point. He treats his fans how they expect to be treated.
To a certain extent. But, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, you have to talk ECW in that equation, because ECW was all about the fans. And those fans, no matter what, always left happy. It was a violent audience. They wanted tables. They wanted blood. They wanted gore. They wanted distraction. They wanted destruction. They wanted Kimono Wanalea. They wanted Beulah McGillicuddy. They wanted Francine. And they got all of that. And ECW, I think, embraced the fans better than anybody else. And the Dudleys were their answer to MJF, because the Dudleys could incite a crowd like nobody. And you would legit be afraid of the Dudleys when they're in the ring. You would never want to mess with them.
Remember the gimmick with the chairs?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Billy Ray had everybody throw their chairs into the ring. That was in Chicago. The only time I have been fearful of my personal safety at a wrestling event being at that event.
Yeah, but I mean, ECW is one. You know, and let's not forget TNA Impact Wrestling. They really did cater to their fan base. They gave them innovative matches. They gave them the indie darlings before AEW was about the indie darlings. You know, you had the AJ Styles, the Bobby Roode, the Eric Youngs, the Kazarians and the Daniels. So, I mean, as of right now, yes, AEW, you got to put them in the top 3.
the question isn't whether they do or not. I think we can agree that they do. The question was, had there ever been another that did as much as they do? And it sounds like you're answering that affirmative.
Oh, I am, and that's ECW. ECW was perhaps the most fan-friendly wrestling company in the world because they needed the fans. They didn't have a billionaire behind them. They had Paul Heyman with the Shell game. So if you're going to ask me, without a shadow of a doubt, ECW, the most fan-friendly company of all time. And with that, David Hero has spoken.
Wait a minute. What'd you do there? Was that a little DWH?
I DWH-dust it.
You put some sauce on it.
I did. It was the ODB barbecue sauce. It's fantastic. Meetandgreet.com.
Well, folks, thank you for joining us all over the world live here on Fight TV, YouTube. Where else are we?
We're on Twitter.
Twitch,
we're on Fight.
Facebook Live.
We're everywhere.
Thank you for joining us. Linda,
we're everywhere you can watch Netflix.
It's the hashtag PWR Live right above your head there, Linda, where people can join us. And those comments all come to you. And pretty soon, you're also going to be sharing with us the comments from the live chat on Fight TV. That's Fight TV as well. So, Linda, thank you very much for those comments. And Linda likes it when you email her. She likes that's the little notification sound and the wiggle that the phone makes when you send an email or a comment or use that hashtag.
So you're saying her phone's always on vibrate?
No, I said it's a little wiggle, like the juicy wiggle.
Juicy wiggle.
That's a song.
Oh, the Norman Smiley gimmick.
Norman S. Smiley.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for joining us. This has been PWR Reaction. We'll be live with you again tomorrow on all the same places you're watching us here tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and turn on your notifications. If you're watching on Facebook, please go ahead and give our page a like. And also, if you're watching on Periscope, on Twitter, follow us at PWR 360. So until tomorrow night when we're live with you again to preview WWE SmackDown, bring you the latest on WrestleMania without one thing that we're going to guarantee you we will not do on this show before April 6th, and that is share one single spoiler. We are not in that business. We will not be in that business, and we don't want to participate in ruining WrestleMania for all of you.
Yep.
So spoiler
never going to get it.
Spoiler-free zone all the way through WrestleMania. Tomorrow night, live again. The associates will be joining us. And the best way for you to not miss the broadcast is to go ahead and subscribe, like, or follow us on whichever medium you're watching. Or most importantly, go to fight.tv. That's FITE.tv to watch us live each night. You can also wear not only PWR, but great shirts and great products from Collar and Elbow with a special deal right now.
Go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Use the promo code PWR360 and save. Great new shirts being dropped right now and huge sales coming up as well.
For Linda Kay, for that one, David Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you for joining us here on Reaction. We'll see you live tomorrow night on Primetime Live right here on Fight TV.